Sexual assault continues to be among the most underreported of crimes, with victims often reluctant to come forward due to fear of mistreatment from their communities and the legal system. Now, two ASU professors are hoping to help change that with a new book of art. The book is titled Art, Activism, and Sexual Violence, and it looks at how artists can fight and prevent sexual violence through creative expression. And the co-editors of the book are Sally Kitch, she's an ASU Regents Professor of Women and Gender Studies, and Dawn Gilpin, an Assistant Dean at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. Thank you both for joining us. This is really important stuff, and I want to get right to it. Art, activism, and Sally, we'll start with you. The idea of creative expression with such a serious topic, how'd this come about?
Well, there's a story connected with ASU that got us started. You may remember under President Obama's administration, there was federal money available to universities to try to stave off sexual violence on campuses. ASU decided that creative expression was an answer to a problem that, after all, was cultural. So a cultural answer to a cultural problem. And we spent a couple of years having creative expression created on campus. Flash forward, people who worked on this, including Dawn and myself, decided to try to do a book, not so much about the ASU project, but about art being used as a mechanism of social transformation.
Yeah, and Dawn, the book, we're going to take a look at some of the images here from the book. Did it turn out the way you thought it would when this first started?
When it first started, the book has gone through many evolutions. It's my first chance to edit a volume, so it's been a real learning process, and involving so many different authors and artists, and the roster has changed over time. So I would actually say it's turned out much better than I could have imagined in the very beginning.
That's the best way.
Yes.
Let's take a look at some of the entries here and some of the artwork. The first is called Point of Entry. This is an oil and acrylic piece. Dawn, we'll start with you. What are we looking at here?
So this is work by an artist named Suzanne Slavic, and this is from a series that she did. Another piece is actually the cover art of the book. This is a mattress with blood stains and bullet holes. So this was a theme of this phase of her work. And it shows the juxtaposition of what is supposed to be a comforting, safe environment, like your bed, your mattress, or the domestic setting, and how it is so often a setting instead for violence and death.
And Sally, that's a way to say something without saying it, but showing it and making it hit even harder.
And the emotional impact of these images throughout the book, I think it can be seen that what it does to the viewer or the participant in a performance is really transform the way they're looking at the issue. And we have lots of comments from viewers in the book that talk about how it changed their minds and their perspectives by seeing the art.
Indeed, and Sally, the next one is called Houses, and this includes a quote from is that what's going on here? Did I get that right?
This is part of a series of quilts made by a quilt maker named Ruta Marino, and she had a project asking victims and survivors to talk about what people said to them as they were victimizing them, mostly as children. And these quilts, which again evoke the cozy domestic, isn't this comfy home, through these traditional quilt patterns, also, but juxtaposed with these very frightening and alarming kinds of phrases that people use.
Yeah, the juxtapositioning is big there. This next one, Dawn, I don't think there's a heck of a lot of juxtaposition. This is Why I Didn't Report, and this is pretty self-explanatory.
It is. This is from a chapter by a fellow Cronkite professor, Leslie Jean Thornton, who collected hundreds of images during the height of the Me Too movement on Instagram primarily and other social media, and work by artists. And this is exactly what it says, it says on the tin, why I didn't report. And it is fear of not being believed, fear of being accused of provoking the situation, the common things that women often hear when they do speak out about sexual violence that they've encountered.
Yeah, that one is pretty clear and makes a pretty strong statement.
Yeah.
Dawn, sticking with you, the next one is called Stop.
Yeah.
And this one, again, pretty self-explanatory.
Yes and no. I
Oh.
think there's more layers
please.
to this. Now, I'm not the artist, so I can't really speak to the intention behind it. But one of the points in this chapter is actually that the theme of the hand, the motif of the hand, was extremely prevalent in a lot of images that we saw during Me Too and other things about sexual violence. And the hand can be seen as standing for agency and the ability to act. And so sometimes the hand, and this is a great example, this hand can be seen as stopping someone.
Yes.
It can be seen as imploring for help.
Yes.
There are lots of different ways that you can interpret this hand. So that, again, invites the viewer into the work of art, and by encouraging this engagement, it actually increases empathy. This is something that we know about
Interesting.
art.
And Sally, you mentioned performances. There is a dance piece that we've got a shot of here. It's not just all things on canvases and these are, what's going on here?
Well, you can see from the gesture that it's like a bow and arrow. And I think these dances that we discuss in the book have to do with creating agency among victims and survivors, and moving from that sense of victimhood to a sense of agency and being able to act on their own behalf. And this is a little clip from a dance that was really devoted to that kind of idea, that we're going to stand up and show ourselves as strong and capable. And one thing interesting about the dance pieces is that there's sexual violence and sexual harassment in ballet. And so many of the performers are also speaking to their own art form and their refusal to remain victims within that world of ballet and dance.
Real quickly, because we're running out of time, Dawn, what do you want folks to take from this book?
We want them to think about art maybe differently. You know, one of the things, as you mentioned at the top, is that sexual violence is extremely underreported. We have very limited data, also because of the way that data are measured. But art is a way that anyone can describe their experiences and put it out there. And so being aware of the power of art to make people understand the phenomenon and empathize with the people who are experiencing it, I think, is one of the main things. As Sally said, it's social transformation.
Indeed. Well, congratulations on the book. Great work. And thank you so much for joining us and sharing. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.